goodness, thank you so much for joining us. I love the energy you have brought today because we're going to need, I love you, thank you. Well, let me tell you, today's show, we're going to have to lean in on love because this is a tough one for us. We go behind the scenes of stories all the time. I've been a journalist for over 30 years, moving from local news to national news, so I never lose that part of who I am. And so from time to time, you see headlines, and I'm the kind of person, I always want to know more than the headlines because, you know, clickbait and all of these other things. We share the stories on social media with our friends. It's in our timeline, and we wonder, like, what is really behind the headline? We've covered all kinds of headlines in this show and in this series, heartwarming, thought-provoking. All of the stories today, they hit in a different way because they are illuminating and powerful. I'll start off with the first one. Our first story, I saw it on Netflix. I knew I wanted our guests. I pursued them all summer long with my booking team. It was a documentary called Tell Them You Love Me. It premiered at #1 on Netflix on the watch list, and it still has a lot of people talking. There are headlines that say things like, this is disturbing, controversial. It is the chilling true story of the relationship between Derek Johnson, a nonverbal man with cerebral palsy, and Anna Stubblefield, a professor who was supposed to be helping him communicate in this breakthrough way. Anna worked with Derek using a controversial technique. It's called facilitated communication. But things took a dark turn when Anna confessed to Derek's family that they were allegedly in love and in a physical, intimate, sexual relationship. Take a look.
I found disability interesting.
Derek can't communicate nonverbal with cerebral palsy.
When I met Derek, I sat in the class with him and provided communication support.
Facilitators were doing this, thinking they were giving people the ability to be able to communicate.
She looked at Derek and said, "Do you want me to tell you?"
She said, yes, we have made love.
Then he said, you know, I've dreamed about this.
She was having conversations with herself.
Anna is a pathological liar and narcissist.
I'm not guilty of a crime.
So what followed was a criminal trial, a multi-million-dollar civil lawsuit, and people are still asking the question I have asked since I've watched this now multiple times. How could this happen? In their first TV interview, joining us is Derek's brother, John Johnson. Backstage, we have Daisy and Derek. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Daisy and Derek backstage here for a couple of reasons, the sensitivity of what we're discussing, but also this is a very stimulating environment. We have the audience, the lights, and television, and we wanted to be mindful of those things. You see Derek here. He will be 43 in October?
Yes.
Backstage, your mom told me they told her baby wasn't going to live longer than
3 years old.
3 years old. And here he is because of the love of Daisy and because of you. This documentary was done before it went on Netflix, almost like 2 years prior to the Netflix debut of it. And it instantly went to the top of the list. People couldn't believe it. Give me the backstory of how this professor entered your life.
I was a graduate student in her course. It was a course on disability studies and race. And in the syllabus, we covered a bunch of different topics. And one of the topics was on communication and engaging the world. And we watched this film in which a young woman with autism was able to utilize facilitated communication to do a whole host of things that she wasn't able to do before.
So in the documentary, you see with this facilitated communications, the individual says that they are able to interpret, if you will, what the person who's nonverbal is able to say. And the belief is that when someone thinks that you are nonverbal, that may not be the case. You just don't have a way to communicate. A facilitator allegedly helps this happen. So you saw this as an intellectual yourself, as a brother, and you can see it in the documentary how much you love him. You wanted this breakthrough moment.
Exactly. For most of our lives, you know, we took care of Derek, we provided for him. But as we were getting older, A lot of his cohort, his friends that were of his age and even older, many of them were having these serious health issues. And recognizing that Derek didn't have the ability to communicate was something that just always bothered me. Like, what's wrong with him? Like, if he had a headache, we would observe his behavior and see changes and respond accordingly. But it's like you go to the doctor asks you, do you feel pain? What's the rate? 1 to 10. Derek can't say, well, I feel a 9. And so given that, I was really interested in finding a way of just knowing exactly what might be the matter.
So you approached this facilitator, can you work with my brother? It seemed like the perfect opportunity to get this connection. As we see in the documentary, which I couldn't believe what I was watching, to be honest with you. That scene when she reveals to you and your family, after being confronted, that she admits to having sex with him in her office, in the family's home, multiple occasions, and she was married with children of her own. The response has been incredible to this. And she is no longer in jail.
No. Well, on that day, we were actually meeting with her to pretty much sever ties. Up to that point, we were getting a sense that FC wasn't working, facilitated communication wasn't working, and we really wanted to really move into a different direction and really just stop working with her. As it happened, we sat down, we got ready to talk, and then we had the big reveal. And so in that moment, for me, it was like, I just need to know that my brother was okay. So I asked, did you use a condom? Did you do those kinds of things? Because I just was concerned about my brother's health. But after I had that confirmation, I had to remove myself from that space and get out of there.
But nothing would prepare you for an adult who is supposed to be caring for him, now coming to you and your family saying, not only are we in love, I have been sneaking behind this family's back. And then she admitted she was inappropriate with him.
Yeah. There's a level of trust that you instill in caretakers, and nothing can prepare you. You assume that they have the individual's best interest in heart. I think at the end of the day, we initially didn't press charges.
No.
Like, we just wanted to have her leave us alone, and we made that very clear not long after. But in the months afterwards, she kept calling my mom, stopping by unannounced. The straw that broke the camel's back is when she assumed she knew what was best for my brother. She reached out to his school, his day program, and tried to gain access to him. And once the director of the program alerted us, and thank God, again, we had trust in that director, and they reached out to us to let us know, that was kind of the final straw.